Having gone to film school myself, here are some of the things that I learned after actually working in the industry that they did not teach me when I was in school. What is going on, everybody? If you're new around here, my name is Finn Badgley. I'm a commercial fashion, portrait photographer, all-around content creator, and I am also a camera assistant for the TV and film industry. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, myself, I did go to school for photography and then later for filmmaking. At the time, I thought maybe I wanted to direct or something of that variety. Now, having gone through that, tried directing a couple projects of my own, I find I am more suited to the camera side of things, whether it be camera assisting, operating, or even right at the top as a DOP. Whether or not I regret going to film school, that is a whole other video for another day. However, these are a bunch of the things that I learned after actually working in the industry that I didn't actually find out in school. I only learned when I actually went out there and started working at it. And the thing is, when you're in school, you're really excited about making all these cool projects with your really creative friends, and you think you're gonna get out into the industry and everybody's gonna be like that, and they're all gonna be happy to be there, and everybody's just gonna be really creative, and it's gonna be an amazing environment, and you're gonna learn so much, and a lot of that is true, but not everyone is like that. For some people, it's just a job. No matter what department they're in, they're there to earn a living, go home and provide for their families. Like anything else, there are people who hate their life, and you will quickly learn who those people are. While it isn't all sunshine and rainbows, there are still those creative people, and it's great to be a part of something and see it all come to life and then see it on the TV, on the big screen afterwards, and be proud of the job that you and your entire team came together to make. And while it can be like a family at times, these people, you're also around them for a long period of time, continuously, and not everybody gets along, and that's okay. It's definitely not as glamorous as you think it's going to be, especially if you're starting on the lower rungs of the ladder and you need to work your way up. A lot of times you're just going to start out and you're going to be a PA or what have you, and you're going to be getting coffee for people and just really trying to make sure that everybody's happy. And at the end of the day, everybody starts somewhere, and you start there and you work your way up. Now, there are people obviously who start at a higher position just because they have found a way to do so. And that's nothing against the people that do. But a lot of us do start lower and have to work our way up. And it's something that when you come into it, you might be really excited and you want to talk about your ideas and you want to like really get in there, and that's great. But sometimes it can come as a shock that you're just going to get people coffee for a while. And that's like the most responsibility you have. And like people won't really trust you off the beginning and think you know nothing. There's this term where people are green and they're kind of naive and haven't figured out how the industry works. And learning all that comes with time, but it's just one of those things that I've seen it happen to a ton of people, especially peers of mine, where you go out and you're really eager and everyone's not always receptive to that. And there are different personalities always, and sometimes people clash and what have you. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are just there to do their job. It's what they know, it's what they do. And that's kind of the end of it. But don't let that discourage you. There are those really creative people, and finding them is always great, and finding those people that you can work well with, and you kind of take each other from different project to different project, and it's fantastic. But it can also take a bit of time to find that, and that's okay. This is a learning process, and I would say I've 100% learned more out in the field on set working than I have in film school. Sure, I gained the connections to get there through film school, but actually when I'm there, the amount of experience I learned in a week surpasses that of what I learned in the entirety of film school. And part of that is just because it is a very intense, fast-paced, and stressful environment. A lot of people are under time crunches, and when people ask for things, they want it yesterday. So it can be a very stressful environment, and if you don't always work under pressure, maybe then that isn't necessarily the best environment for you. But I just want you to know going into this that it's not going to be necessarily a laid back situation. It's going to be fast paced. It's going to be a lot happening all the time. And at the beginning, it's a lot to take in. But like anything else, you do get used to it. And that does go away with time, and you be able to get more comfortable in that environment. And at a certain point, you can even thrive in that and really figure like what's next and what to do to really have this project come together. Now, one of the things that was definitely a shock to the system, and I think it is for just about everyone, is it's not the typical 8-hour 9 to 5 type of deal when you're out on a film shoot. Whether it's a commercial, music video, whether it's a TV show or a feature film, the hours are long. A usual day for me runs between 12 to 14 hours whenever I am on these types of projects. And these will go for months on end, so by the end of it, you are hitting a wall. And I don't say this with pride. My longest day was 20 hours straight from 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. the next day. And by the end of it, I was absolutely toast. I was running on empty. And I know people who have worked longer hours, and that's not anything to really be proud of. And I think the industry is starting to change because these people need to have lives and need to be able to see their families and their kids and actually be able to rest and recharge. Like I say, work hard, rest often. Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to actually go out and perform your best. Nobody's going to be happy. Nobody's going to be enjoying themselves when they're working 18-hour days straight, 5 days a week, and they're running on empty. Like, that's just not always the best environment. And that's why I think it's changing a bit, but the hours are still long. And that is a shock to the system. It's something that you need to get used to. And not everybody is accustomed to that. And frankly, not everybody wants that type of lifestyle. It's definitely something that is hard to sustain. And that's why a lot of people will only do a couple different shows for a couple months a year. So that way they have that downtime in between where either they'll be doing other things, spending time with their family, maybe taking like short 1-day, 2-day jobs, or what have you, but they have that time in between so they can rest and recharge, because it will burn you out if you're not careful. And it's something that nobody really tells you. Nobody says that like, hey, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna be working for at least 12 hours a day on a good day. And obviously you're compensated for those hours, but it doesn't change the fact that those are long days. And not everybody's equipped for that, and that's okay. Like, there's no shame in not wanting to do 16, 18-hour days all the time. That's totally okay. And it's something that they should probably tell film students more who want to get out working in the film industry, because it's a shock to the system when they do. And even though I don't mind working these hours, I'm young, I can grind like that, it's still something that it may have been nice to know beforehand. But I've even had photo shoots that have lasted 12 plus hours as well. It's just something that you need to get that day done and get the content that you need to get. People are working with constrained budgets, constrained timelines, and they need to get what they need to get in a certain amount of time frame, and you're there to help that train keep moving, which is why it can be stressful and why it is a very fast-paced environment. People are under pressure, budgets are tight, and there's not a whole lot of wiggle room there in terms of those timelines. They're trying to get everything out as fast as they can, especially with the way streaming content is now. They're trying to just keep pushing content out so we have something to watch. Now, this next one's a bit of a combo. If you are going into film school and you want to primarily direct, then probably the best thing you can do is start directing your own stuff and pitch it to people and keep making these projects with friends as tight of a budget as you can, and use everything in your availability to make them, and make them as small budget as you can so you can keep making them. If you can make a film on $3, make that $3 film. Even if it's not great, just keep making them until somebody pays you $3,000 to make a film, and then you think you've hit the lottery and you can actually rent some things or maybe have money to use a location instead of using your buddy's parents' house or something like that. And then once you have that, then you aim for a higher budget, and these things escalate on top of each other. And if you're making good work and people take notice, then that is how you end up directing these larger budget things. There are a ton of grants that you can also look into to actually get funding for these different movies that you want to make. And you can even make spec projects if you want to get into more of the commercial side of things. Just make a bunch of fake ads that look like what is out there currently, pitch those to companies, and then make those ads for them, and then those people give you the budget to do so, and then you so on and so forth. And then you take that, and if you want to make feature films, if you want to make TV shows, then go from there. And if you just want to keep doing commercials, then go there as well. These things, it's a way that you can kind of climb that ladder, put yourself out there and direct what you want to direct. And that way you're actually going to be making a decent amount of money from it. And that is also a way that you avoid that kind of ladder climbing thing. You just keep making your own stuff, whether it's indie, commercial, whatever, until you get into those higher budget projects. And then the other thing is, if you don't want to direct, there are a ton of different departments that you can get into at different levels that you may not even think of. Like, you look at costumes and wardrobe and props, all these things are different departments that have different skill sets that people possess that they're in need of. Myself, I'm a huge camera nerd, so naturally I am drawn to being behind the camera. It just makes sense for me. But some people may be more about lighting or making everything look really nicely lit. So they may look into the lighting or electric department, or if they want to be adjacent to that, maybe there will be a grip and that sort of thing. Or maybe you just need to find a way in and start at something like locations, or if you want to do permitting and that sort of thing. Or if you're really good with numbers and you want to be an accountant or line producer and that sort of thing, and really figure out the number aspect of it. There's a lot of different avenues that you can get into no matter where you are. It's an industry that is definitely multifaceted, and there are a lot of ways that you can get in. But these are a lot of the things that they just don't tell you in film school. It's some things that are actually really valuable to know that I think they should tell you more and give you more of this information, which is why having this first person experience working in the industry, that is why I am relating that to you today. So I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it, especially if you are a film student or perhaps have just graduated from film school, or even looking into getting into film school, or whether you should try to get out in the industry and that sort of thing. If you did get value from this, be sure to drop a like down below. As far as I'm aware, everybody says it makes a difference. So why don't we test it? Drop a like, we'll see what happens. Leave a comment if you like. My light just died. Okay. Leave a comment if you like this kind of thing. You want to see more of it from me in the future. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell to be notified when I post new videos so you never miss an upload. Work hard. Rest often. Plug your lights in so the battery doesn't die. And as always, I'll see you on the next one when we have light.